What if I told you there was an indie game with a $17.5 million budget that released and died all within the span of a few months, and you probably didn't even know about it? Starlight Revolver had funding from venture capitalists and angel investors, paid collaborations with Sarah Benito and Lily Pichu. It even had 100,000 wishlists on Steam and was one of the most played demos of 2025. On the surface, it sounded like the making of a game that had everything going for it. Success served on a silver platter. But when the game launched in 2026, it peaked at just under 1,000 players, and the studio announced the game's cancellation just 3 weeks later. So what happened? How did a game that looks this cool and had so much going for it collapse so quickly? This is the story of Starlight Revolver, an indie game that blew $17 million and now has nothing to show for it. Starlight Revolver was developed by Daniel Zhao, who founded the game studio Pahdo Labs in 2021. While in lockdown during COVID, Daniel took up game development, reaching out to some friends who had a shared interest in anime and action role-playing games, and came to them with the idea of creating a JRPG-inspired 4-player co-op game with an anime aesthetic. However, since Daniel didn't have any game dev experience at this point, the first step was, well, to learn how to actually develop a game. He started out simple, honing his skills and building a prototype over the course of 2 years. This prototype, which we'll talk about later, eventually got scrapped in favor of a new game, a 3-player isometric roguelite that drew inspiration from games like The Binding of Isaac and Hades. He called it Starlight Revolver. Seeing Starlight Revolver for the first time, what caught most people's attention was the art style. It was bright and polished and had the kind of anime aesthetic that stops you dead in your tracks mid-doom scroll and makes you think, man, I want to give that a try.
I just think they're neat.
Part of Starlight Revolver's early success was a huge campaign on TikTok. They pushed out tons of content where they talked about game development, showed off their journey as an indie studio, and were generally endearing online. They also had tons of pre-rendered clips with the characters of the game that looks really good. Like I said, the kind of game people would look at and say, hey, I want to try that out. Their presence on social media drummed up quite a bit of hype for Starlight Revolver. There wasn't too much on the gameplay side of things, but the art style, it was enough to get people interested.
Oh, this looks pretty good. Oh, I love the animation.
By 2025, Starlight Revolver had more than 100,000 wishlists on Steam. It was one of the most played demos during Steam NextFest, and it seemed poised to be an instant hit once it finally released. Capitalizing on the hype, Daniel made a post in r/GameDev talking about his journey as an indie game developer and hoping to impart some of his wisdom. While many Redditors congratulated him on the game's success, others had some questions. The first being about the studio's funding. In this Reddit post, Daniel writes, quote, "You don't need much to get started. I went off savings for the first year, then raised $2 million in year 2 and $15 million in year 3 from venture capital. $17 million in 3 years without even releasing a single game?" To put it lightly, people were shocked. One Redditor remarked, "Y'all remember when Tim Schafer, highly respected game industry veteran with a long track record, launched a Kickstarter and raised $3.3 million? $15 million. That's a lot of money. You could pay for a used private jet for that much, or maybe a yacht, or even, I don't know, one hospital visit in the United States. I'm joking, obviously. But the truth is that worrying about things like health insurance and in-network doctors is something that no one should have to deal with. I spend 8 hours a day at a computer working on videos like this one. Years ago, I noticed I was developing symptoms of carpal tunnel. It was getting harder to type, my wrists were always sore. If you played too much League of Legends, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I told myself I should go see a doctor, get it figured out. But booking an appointment felt overwhelming. I didn't want to initiate the phone calls, I was worried about messing up appointment bookings. In short, I was anxious. Back then, I wish I'd known about ZocDoc, today's video sponsor. ZocDoc is a website that connects patients and healthcare professionals. At the touch of a button, you're able to search and compare local, in-network doctors from more than 150,000 providers across 50 states. ZocDoc is also updated in real time, meaning that you can see openings as they become available. Now, when any health issues arise in my life, whether it's carpal tunnel, migraines, or anything else, ZocDoc provides me with more than just booking appointments. It provides me with peace of mind, knowing that the healing process will be easier from start to finish. All I have to do is open the app or go to the website, and ZocDoc guides me through the booking process. If you, or anyone you know, is struggling with a similar story, tell them about ZocDoc. Don't put it off until it's too late. After all, help is just a button press away. Follow our link, ZocDoc.com/Akshon, which you can find in the description below, and take the first step to prioritizing your health. Thanks again to ZocDoc for partnering with us and for helping us all to take better care of our health. Now, back to the video. How Pahdo Labs was able to raise 5 times that much left a lot of people confused. After all, Daniel was marketing himself as a self-made, ground-up game developer, and this contrasted harshly with the fact that Pahdo Labs seemed to have more support than many AA studios.
This is a load of barnacles.
So, people started doing some digging. They found information on Daniel's employment history, on the devs at Pahdo Labs, and found out that the whole thing wasn't exactly the self-made indie game developer shtick that was being presented. It's true that Daniel had only started game development about 2.5 years earlier, and he'd come a long way since then, but he was also working with a team full of industry veterans who were doing a lot of the coding, developers from Capcom, Ubisoft, and Riot Games. The deep dive into Daniel's background also revealed a lot about his employment history. Before he started Pahdo Labs, he worked at a number of crypto companies. In 2016, he was an angel investor, investing seed money in fintech, gaming, and AI startups. Then he was a software engineer at Jump LLC, helping build their crypto trading site. Then he worked at Robinhood, the investing company at the center of the GameStop debacle. And then he was a software engineer at a military defense company, before finally founding Pahdo Labs in 2021. If we go back and look at the studio's landing page from way back in 2021, you'll find this block of text. We're backed by amazing investors such as Box Group, Pear, A16Z GP Andrew Chen, Zynga founder Mark Pincus, and Eventbrite founder Kevin Hartz. Keep in mind, this was before they had any sort of prototypes to even show investors. They didn't have a game, they didn't have screenshots, and they didn't really even have a reputation. How could this game studio, led by someone with no game development background, secure so many prominent investors without so much as a gameplay demo?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
After some more digging, people realized that Starlight Revolver wasn't the only things that Pahdo Labs had been developing. Back in 2023, Andreessen Horowitz led a $15 million round of funding, which included investments from Pear VC, Box Group, Long Journey Ventures, Neo, and Global Founders Capital. The funding was meant to go towards game development, but also something else. One of Andreessen Horowitz's partners, Jonathan Lai, wrote a post on their blog in which he praised Pahdo Labs for developing, quote, a UGC platform for players to create their own anime-style mods and worlds. UGC stands for User-Generated Content, and it became quickly apparent that Pahdo Labs was developing more than just a game. They were making a game-making tool. In a separate LinkedIn post, Lai writes, quote, Pahdo Labs is democratizing anime game creation, opening up creator tools for players to build their own anime games, enhanced via AI and procedural generation. We're very excited about the potential for AI-assisted UGC to transform IP into dynamic, never-ending game franchises. It quickly became clear that these venture capitalists weren't just investing in Pahdo Labs because they thought that Starlight Revolver had potential, they were investing in an AI-powered game-building tool. Pahdo Labs was creating a way for anyone to make their own games with an anime aesthetic. Many of these investors saw the potential for something like an anime version of Roblox. Give the players the tools to make their own games and watch the platform explode in popularity. With all of this research in hand, Starlight Revolver's discussion page on Steam exploded. People were ripping into the game for being a crypto scam, an NFT scam, a hotbed for AI. It got so bad that Daniel had to make an official blog post telling people that Starlight Revolver wasn't some cryptocurrency rug pull. It was a legit game made by real people. And it was. There's no denying that underneath all the layers of sketchy funding, at the heart of Pahdo Labs were game devs who really wanted Starlight Revolver to succeed. They cared a lot about the game they were making and seemed to be caught between a rock and a hard place. Still, most casual viewers weren't privy to many of the things going on behind the scenes. All they saw was a game with a cool aesthetic that they wanted to try out for themselves.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
On June 19th, 2025, the Starlight Revolver demo went live during Steam NextFest, and the general consensus was actually pretty good. As one journalist put it, the real thing that's pulling me in so far is the vibes. Pahdo Labs has spent a lot of money working with the animators at Studio Yada, the team behind Vampire Survivors, Rivals of Aether, and Sonic Mania, to produce promo trailers for the game. The vibes were great. The art style was exactly what had been promoted. There was a lively social hub called Nishi Island, where players could fish and hoverboard between runs, but beneath the Technicolor veneer, the game was also kind of broken. Starlight Revolver was, as we mentioned, a roguelite that drew heavy inspiration from games like Hades. You play as one of 4 divers, each of whom has a unique set of skills and abilities, join up with 2 other players, and battle through levels, getting stronger as you go. Unfortunately, the demo gave very little onboarding information for new players. It lacked basic features like key rebinding, characters would constantly clip out of bounds, environments wouldn't load, and friends couldn't join each other's sessions. But, to be fair, many who tried the demo were willing to look past these shortcomings because hey, it's a demo. Pahdo Labs still had several months to get all of the bugs ironed out. And while there was still a loud, vocal minority who were claiming the game was going to be a crypto scam, many were cautiously optimistic. In fact, the game had over 100,000 wishlists on Steam and was one of the top 10 most played demos during Steam NextFest. Over the next few months, Pahdo Labs continued their TikTok campaign. They worked with artists like Sarah Benito, Iris from Halloween, and Lily Pichu to make music for the game, and Starlight Revolver entered early access in August 2025 with pretty high expectations. Unfortunately, it didn't take long for things to collapse. Many of the bugs from the demo persisted into early access. Players couldn't get past the character select screen, in-game currency, which players had to grind hours to earn, were disappearing from their accounts without a trace. In addition, the crypto scam narrative was beginning to completely take over. The fact that there were still so many bugs in the game was evidence that Starlight Revolver wasn't the company's main priority. There had to be something else going on behind the scenes. This conspiracy, whether it was true or not, led to very few people actually trying the game out for themselves. It felt really similar to Highguard, where the internet ripped so hard into Starlight Revolver before it had launched that no one was willing to spend money to actually try the game when it entered early access. Despite all of the social media push that they'd put out for the game launched to an abysmal 499 concurrent players. We can't even say that the game received poor reviews because not enough players tried the game out to leave reviews. There's almost no accounting for this bad of a flop. Over the next few weeks, the player count never got any higher. In November 2025, just 3 months after launch, Pahdo Labs announced major cuts. The studio laid off half its team, moved to working fully remote, and confirmed that Starlight Revolver would stop receiving major updates. Multiplayer servers were scheduled to shut down in early December, turning the game into a single-player offline title. And all cosmetics were unlocked for existing owners as a half-hearted, sorry for wasting your time.
We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
The final blow came in February 2026, when Pahdo Labs announced it was shutting down completely. Daniel Zhou announced that the game had not achieved the commercial success needed to continue development. The studio failed to secure additional funding, surprise surprise, and player numbers continued to decline. As a result, all ongoing projects, including their next game, Edge of Divinity, were cancelled. And the team released the Edge of Divinity demo for free as a final gesture. Starlight Revolver is a very interesting case study. $17.5 million is no small sum of money. The question is, where did it all go? Daniel claims that a big portion went towards salaries, hosting servers, and of course, developing the game. Starlight Revolver also had a huge marketing push, hosting in-person collaborations with creators like Iron Mouse and CDawg VA, and as mentioned, they had a bunch of songs made from Iris from Halloween, Sarah Benito, Lily Pichu, and others. But apart from the game, what happened to that UGC platform? No assets or tools were ever released to the public, there have been no announcements about open sourcing the code, selling the IP, or handing the project off to another team, and it seems like the dream of an anime Roblox that so many investors put their faith into simply died with the company. It's still unclear why Starlight Revolver failed so spectacularly. 100,000 wishlists is no small feat, yet less than 1% of those even tried the game out when it finally launched. Many believe the negative press leading up to the game's release deterred players from even trying it. As well, the game had a $20 price tag, while other games like Genshin Impact are free to play. Getting players in the door and hooked could have saved Starlight Revolver, but launching with a $20 price tag, as well as in-game cosmetics, felt like it just wasn't worth people's time. At the end of the day, we'll never know for certain what could have been. All we know is that money can't buy you happiness, and it certainly doesn't guarantee a successful game.